Today's national webinar. Good morning, every participants. On behalf of PG and Research Department of Zoology, I am welcoming you all. I am also welcome the resource person today, Dr. VM Satish Kumar. Today is World Environmental Day, so we decided this is the opt day to conduct this national webinar. Once we finalize this webinar, we decided to contact Dr. Satish Kumar from Zoological Survey of India, Northern Regional Station, Dehradun. So he was a wonderful person, and he worked in the Southern Regional Station at Chennai. During that time, our department is partnership with Zoological Survey of India, Chennai. So nice person. I wish to introduce him. He finished his PhD degree in the year of 2007 at University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. His area of interest is molecular genetics and barcoding. Important modern tool in nowadays used in the field of taxonomy. He is also the very interesting field researcher. His major assignment is to collecting faunal diversity, and he is doing barcoding for all collected specimens in the lab. He was also awarded a Young Scientist Award in the year of 2012 on Man and Biosphere by UNESCO, sister concern body of United Nations. So above all, is a person from God's own country. So we decided is the apt person to deliver a special address in this national webinar. So I am happy to introduce Dr. VM Satish Kumar, scientist, Zoological Survey of India, Northern Regional Station, Dehradun. Before I am handing over this session to Dr. Satish Kumar, I wish to announce some announcement to all participants. I request all the participants, please mute your mic and close your videos. This will enhance the quality of presentation. And don't press present button or any icon which is available in your bottom. At the end of the session, you please put your questions in the chat box. The resource person is eagerly waiting to answer all your queries. After the discussion session is over, you please see the chat box. We will provide a link for feedback form. Every participant, those wish to need a certificate, please submit your feedback forms. After 2 days, we will provide the certificate. Thank you, one and all. Now I am handing this session to Dr. Satish Kumar. Doctor, please.
Thank you. Very good morning, all of you. And of course, we are heading, all the humankind heading for a difficult situation in terms of corona. So I seriously hope that everybody is safe. And that's the same reason why we are conducting globally, all the human beings are conducting webinars. We started doing webinars simply because of small organism which is not visible to human eyes. So let me start with my presentation. Like our moderators said, please mute your mic. And I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
If it is audible, very clearly audible, then I will proceed straight away. And please do not click on your present button anywhere, because some participants, they may be joining from their mobile phones. And kindly, because the success of this presentation lies upon the internet speed, connectivity, everything. So kindly support me so that I can share my information to all of you. Again, I request Prakash to do not to present your screen. Let me start with a small presentation today, because we all are heading a very difficult situation right now in terms of corona. And can you see can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's audible and very clear.
Okay. Let me proceed. So today's session, because of World Environment Day today, I thought I would rather talk something about biodiversity. What is it? Where is it? And why it is important for human survival? Because we are heading through difficult situation right now as a species. So the basic theme for today's day, it is not a day for celebration for human beings. It's a day for sadness because we are only misusing and disturbing the planet Earth. So it is the time for nature, especially for human beings, to think about nature and nature conservation. And as you all know, that World Environment Day, which is also called as WED, is celebrated on 5th June every year, coined by United Nations to encourage to awareness programs among the public. This all started in 1974 by UN Nations. Keep the awareness programs. Kindly mute your phone, participants. And quite simply, what is biodiversity? Quite simply, it can be defined as variety, variability between genes, species, and ecosystems. The term itself, which is coined by world-famous taxonomist scientist Dr. E.O. Wilson, an American taxonomist and scientist, who coined the term biodiversity from biological diversity. And we all studied, starting from our school levels, that biodiversity is divided upon 3 levels. Basically, species diversity, which refers to the numbers and kind of living organisms. Genetic diversity, which refers to the genetic variation within a population of species. And ecosystem diversity, which is the variety of habitats, biological communities, and ecological process by which the entire biosphere is managed for survival. And biodiversity, what is it and where we can find, how we can document the biodiversity world over? Of course, it's a variability among living organisms from all the sources, including terrestrial, marine, and aquatic ecosystems. This compose ecological complexes, which include diversity within species, between species, and of course, ecosystems. Biodiversity forms the foundation of vast array of ecosystem services that critically contribute to human well-being or our own survival. We always forget the fact that there are also species like all the plants and animals. Because of evolved brain and power, we misuse all the plants and animals for our well-being. For the same reason, the decisions humans make that influence the biodiversity, which affect the well-being of ourselves, which affects the well-being of me, you, and the entire human beings. That's why we want to create awareness world over about conserving our planet Earth. And why biodiversity? Where is it? Where we can find biodiversity? Biodiversity is essentially every on Earth's surface to every drop of its bodies of water. While saying this, even because probably some of you might have heard that this coronavirus, novel coronavirus, which is also transmitted through aerosols. So that is also another species of virus which is causing damage to human beings. So which is also likewise, biodiversity is everywhere, almost everywhere. So if I talk something about the estimate of total biodiversity on this entire planet Earth, which range from 3 million species, and the actual species richness, though it is 30 million, we have identified only 1.7 to 2 million species so far, which is only a small proportion when it considered to the total species richness all over the world. So again, we got 8 biogeographical realms and 14 biomes. You might have heard about Nearctic, Oceanic, Neotropical, Palearctic, Afrotropical, Antarctic, Indo-Malay, Australian, Oceanic, so on. So many, almost 8 biogeographical realms and 14 biomes, terrestrial biomes. So you can find biodiversity almost everywhere. And how we can document biodiversity richness? We got many tools, data sources, but still biodiversity remains difficult to quantify precisely. So in order to assess the conditions, we need to accommodate the recent trends in biodiversity research globally, subglobally, especially within India. Because it is very necessary to measure the safety of all organisms during the time by using taxonomic scientific methods to document the number of species. There are many measures by which we can document the species richness, and just a graphical representation of species richness with reference to the named species and unnamed species so far. Just to get some idea about what is going on in terms of taxonomical research all over the world, especially with reference to species richness, family richness, and endemic species. One second. Excuse me, Aguilar sir. Excuse me.
Yes, Ji.
Whether my audio is audible?
Yeah, sure. It's clear.
Because our in charge, just one second. Because it seems that the streaming, online streaming audio is not audible. Because
sir,
my
no.
in charge, he just said to me that audio is not audible for the
Okay.
online streaming.
But it's clear for us.
Yeah, I think Google Meet is it is
Yeah,
clear, but
yeah,
on
for us.
online streaming you may consult with technicians.
Okay,
maybe.
so okay, sir.
Yeah,
you go.
matter
You go
anywhere.
ahead. You go ahead.
One
We are
second.
explaining.
So I can ask a few of my colleagues to join Google Meet, maybe.
Sure.
One second.
Participation is available. You can ask them to join.
Yeah. Gaurav, I think online आप लोग online इसमें streaming में देखा है ना? No, but Google Meet it is audible. Google Meet. तो आप लोग Google Meet का इसमें join कर दिया क्योंकि है ना I think only 140 participants are there. Still they can accommodate 250. Okay, thank you. So I think there is a problem with the online streaming because many of my colleagues and my students, they joined in online streaming
Okay.
session, and they all message that there is no audio. Video is okay.
Okay, sir.
Probably, Akhilan sir, probably you can tell the technicians
Yeah,
to
yeah. We will
after
rec-
this, because some
we will-
people there, I know it, because they are showing. I just locked my room, and
Okay.
they are just showing with a message like this, no audio.
Okay, okay, okay.
And so anyway, we will continue
Sure.
our main session. So again, many people are, even when I joined for my BSc, MSc after my plus two, that time it was pre-degree. When I joined after my pre-degree, I took BSc Zoology for my graduation, and then MSc Zoology for my post PG. Then many asked me why you are going to take zoology or botany for your studies, and what is in naming. I said I want to name something, species. I want to study the biodiversity or the species diversity. I am very fond of nature and all the butterflies and all the living beings. And many ask me why you can go for a doctorate in medical field, or in you can become engineer, you can earn money. So what is in all this naming? So I thought I would rather say something right now, that naming is the main thing. Without naming, there is no identity. So can you imagine a situation by which nobody got the name? So where is the identity without name? So this applicable for all the plants and animals too, not just for human beings. Because all the parents, they want to name their children like Oliver, Sophia, Adya, or something like that. So naming is identity. It remains forever, even after our death. So that's why we want to study taxonomy, especially with reference to all the plants and animals. We want to name them so that we can conserve them. We can propagate management programs for its conservation. So taxonomy is the scientific classification and naming of all the living beings on earth, by which we use this categorization starting from kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. And this particular term is derived from ancient Greek. Taxis means arrangement, and nomia means method. This is a scientific classification. As you all know that humans are scientifically called as Homo sapiens, and also of course plants. And why we want to document all these biodiversity richness all over the world? To inventarize the earth species, document their relationship, and publish and apply this data towards conservation. And so far about 1.8 million described species are there, which composed about 10 million names globally, which is about 300 million pages of research work over the last 262 years. That is after Linnaeus, who published Systema Naturae, the 10th edition, on 1st of January 1758. Since then, we started classifying scientifically all the species on Earth by giving genus name and species name. And so far, if you see globally, there is about 1.5 to 3 billion specimens. And when you see the scientists working or the researchers working globally to document biodiversity, which is about 4,000 to 6,000 scientists, which is about again 30 to 40,000 amateur scientists, and many hobbyist scientists. They are also contributing towards biodiversity research and research. Still, after Linnaeus, so many years gone by, still 90% of life on Earth is yet to be described. The main reason for this is that only 6% of biodiversity scientists try to cover 90% of world's biodiversity. And at present rate, most species will be extinct before we describe them. That's a very sad situation that every 3 seconds, one species is getting lost from this world. This is applicable only for small groups like microbials and insects. Because whenever we think about conservation measures, we think only about larger groups like elephants, tigers, lions, fishes, amphibia, reptilia, and so on. But we never think about smaller insects group which compose about more than 80% of species richness globally. So we need to think about seriously to document all the biodiversity richness world over within this planet Earth. Because since Linnaeus, we are contributing towards taxonomy research programs. And if you see the divisions after Linnaeus, how many species are being described? So, since Linnaeus coined the term of binomial nomenclature, we could identify only 10%. That is almost 1.8 million species being described globally. And there is estimated to be 30 million species globally. So we need to identify remaining 28.2 million species. So how long it will take? Simply, will it be 1,000 years? Ultimately, this will take more than 7,000 years to describe the remaining 28.2 million species within our planet Earth. So we cannot wait for this many years. So many generations will come through, and we cannot wait. We need to speed up the entire process of identification. And especially the situation is that the populations are declining very drastically. If you see the situation within the last almost 40 to 50 years, between 1970 and 2010 or 20, almost 52% of overall decline in wildlife population, which happened. This is a very authentic report from WWF, which documented about 76% of short species population decline, and 39% of terrestrial species decline, 39% of marine species decline within the last almost 50 years. This is not in terms of species, this is in terms of population numbers. But within 50 years, this is a very drastic number we need to care about. So there are many taxonomic efforts for the last 260 years since Linnaeus, with regards to plants, animals, including insects, mollusks, crustacea, everything altogether. So we publish papers based on the taxonomic research, everything, but the process is very slow. And especially with regards to human survival, that we are also species among others, because we all are in this together. There is no independent status of survival for humans as a species. So this is the main fact, main reason by which we need to seriously think about nature conservation, biodiversity conservation, because we are also species altogether. What we have done actually, being as a species, we have just blew it, the entire planet. If you see the timeline of human impact on this planet Earth, we just blew it by many ways. Just to give some idea, I cannot give in detail about each and every text which is given. And I will just show you 5 maps of WWF, which shows what went wrong with the world because of humans. You can see the picture here, the consumption patterns globally. You can also see where is India. With reference to the soil biodiversity, and deforestation, and last year during August, this Amazon fire, forest fire, which was very much in news media, and NASA reported that they can even monitor the forest fire from space. So this is what we are actually causing to the planet and forest. With reference to the marine life, again, especially because of fishing hours, fishing for human fishing needs, we actually spoil the marine life too. There are various threats because of human involvement with reference to various biogeographical realms, starting from Nearctic, Neotropical, Afrotropical, Palearctic, and so on. There is only one species which is causing damage to entire species on Earth, which is me, which is you. It's only the human beings, Homo sapiens. You can, I'm just showing one picture here. It's a graphical, again, infographic pictures. You can see the situation which will happen by 2066, which is not too far. Only another 44 years left for that. This is what we are doing, starting from wildlife trafficking, illegal killing, eating, and so on. Humans are the species which is causing, you can see here, especially birds being sold in the market, pangolins, and all the wildlife meat. I am not referring just China. This happens everywhere. Entire planet Earth, this happens in many countries. So nature got the vast majority of power to control the population or the species diversity. So whichever species is causing damage to Mother Earth, the Mother Earth got the power to control, because Mother got the power to control its kids. So we are also kid, like for mother being, and all the plants and animals. So came novel coronavirus. So we all are facing right now, and this report which I just copied from WHO yesterday, and as per the latest report projected by WHO with regard to the coronavirus situation report, as reported on 3rd of June, just 2 days back, that almost 65,000 people affected globally, and almost 4 lakhs deaths being reported world over. So why this happens? Though with reference to this particular coronavirus, this happens because of zoonotic diseases being transmitted to humans from wildlife. And what are the main causes for these zoonosis diseases transmitted from animals to humans? Main thing is deforestation and illegal wildlife trade, antimicrobial resistance, livestock production also factors, and also climate change. And if you see the zoonosis diseases transmitted from animals to humans over the period of time, you can see that almost 60% of all the infections, diseases happen in humans. Almost 75 might have caused from animals, through animals. If you take all these diseases by one, starting from bats, Nipah virus, and then avian influenza, so and so, all these might have transmitted from animals to humans. And these are some of global examples of emerging, re-emerging, and deliberately emerging, which is also linked to bioterrorism diseases. There is also some debate which is going on whether the coronavirus, which is also maybe bioweapon or so. But there were a few leading scientific papers which was published by Nature and Science, leading journals globally, which state that this is not part of bio or lab created virus, which evolved naturally only. But when it comes to a small picture about infogram about the structure of coronavirus and its phylogeny, and especially with reference to its phylogeny based on mitochondrial sequence database, you can see that there are many viruses yet to come, because this is almost like a tip of iceberg, and this may be just a beginning. That the animal to human disease is in the start, because as many as 1.7 million unidentified viruses are there, and they still exist in mammals and water birds. And the next, after corona, maybe, I'm not letting you in panic, but this is according to the scientific data published globally based on scientific facts, that the next disease X, potentially even more dangerous than and lethal than COVID-19. And future pandemics happen more frequently, more rapidly, and have greater economic impact and kill more people. So we need to think about everything in terms of species survival, especially for us, because life on Earth is depend upon all other species of plants and animals, and yet 90% of life on Earth is still undescribed, and 6% of the reason is that only 6% of scientists are trying to cover 90% of world biodiversity. And present day, many species get extinct before we describe them. So we need to increase the process of identification globally, because again, this is the biodiversity research crisis is that we only identify the 10%, and the remaining percent yet to be described at various levels. That not described, specimen not collected, not examined, not curated, not even collected. So 90% is remaining. And if you see the global scenario with reference to biodiversity research, that world over about 1.8 million species are described, including about 250,000 vascular plants and bryophytes, 45,000 vertebrate animals, and 750,000 insects. As I said, almost 80% composed of insects. with reference to animal groups. And so 30 million are already there. So we need to identify the remaining species. And as you know that India is the seventh largest country in the world. And with reference to biodiversity richness also, India is very rich. India is one of the richest country as 12 mega diversity countries among the world. So India is very rich in terms of biodiversity richness, in terms of global fauna, recorded flora, and plants, animals, everything. India is very rich in terms of biodiversity. Because India got variety of ecological habitats starting from forest, grassland, wetland, coastal, marine, desert. And we actually share many biogeographical realms, including Afrotropical, Indo-Malayan, and Paleo-Arctic regions. And we even got two biodiversity hotspots among the world. Two biodiversity hotspots among the world, which is very rich in endemic species. And the two such...
Doctor, excuse me, doctor. Many participants are putting message on chat box that screen is not sharing. Please, participants, please pin the presentation screen. Then only you have to view in full screen. Okay, thank you. You go ahead, doctor.
Actually, let me explain once again that all the participants, those who could not able to see my presentation, there will be two usernames in my ID, which one is that Dr. Satish Kumar presentation. So you need to click on the presentation user ID and pin to my presentation. Otherwise, you will only see my video. So I hope it is clear. And we got two biodiversity hotspots. One is Western Ghats. Tamil Nadu is also part in, and East Northwest Himalayas, which is very rich in terms of endemic species richness. And kindly mute your participant. Kindly mute your microphone. And if you see, there are two premier departments like Botanical Survey of India and Zoological Survey of India, which document the plant and animal diversity within India. Of course, Forest Survey of India, which started in 1981, who also access and assess the forest cover all over India. And we have already surveyed almost 70% of total geographic area. But with reference to species diversity, which is still, we are in the very preliminary stage, we need to do more. And with reference to animal species recorded so far in India, with starting from Protozoa to Mammalia, these are the small figure which compare about world species with reference to India and its percentage. Just to get some idea, don't worry about all these figures and numbers, because our aim is to instigate all the students to get into taxonomy. So we are just trying to show some figures so that you can involve in taxonomy research after your PG or UG levels. So starting from Protozoa to Mammalia, there are about more than 91,000 species being described all over India. And as I said, with reference to the biodiversity hotspot, the Western Ghats and Himalayas, which is very rich in endemic species. We got a variety of forest types in India, starting from tropical wet green to dry alpine shrub Himalaya forest. So that's the main reason for this endemicity and species richness, especially within India, because we got variety of habitats. If you see the forest cover also, India is very rich in terms of forest cover and ecosystem, starting from mountain to the sea levels. If you take from Andaman to the mighty Himalayas, you can see all the ecosystems, which also contribute towards biodiversity richness. And we got 10 biogeographic zones within India, which is also named as given in the picture. Starting from trans-Himalayas to the islands. So this all contribute towards our biodiversity richness. We can find many species, plants or animals, flora or fauna. And when it comes to the protected areas, as per the July 19 report, last year's report, we got almost 104 national parks, wildlife sanctuaries about 551, conservation reserves about 88, community reserves again 127, and altogether about 870 protected areas within India. And this figures always change year to year. So you can also see here that starting from 2000 and 2000 till 2019, how the numbers are being changed with reference to national parks or wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves. So this the Ministry of Environment and Forest, MIFCC, they always keep on updating this data. You can also always check into the ministry website to get the latest figure about this. So you can also GPS based information, you can also get it from the ministry website. Ramsar sites, like wetlands, there are about 27 wetlands, Ramsar wetlands all over India since 1981. So wetlands are also called as the kidneys of Earth. So as like for humans, how the kidneys are important, similarly for the Earth, wetlands are most important for water retention and species, everything. Having shown all these slides, few slides, as I said, India is very rich in terms of biodiversity. We got endemic species, richness, everything. But when it comes to, again I said that 90% of Earth biodiversity is yet to be described, because we have identified only 10%. So India's taxonomic capacity is decreasing day by day. And still India's biota or biological diversity is very poorly known. So we are in need of many researchers and scientists, taxonomists to document the biodiversity richness of India. So what are the solutions? What are the solutions? Because we are using mobiles, we are using all the GPS based equipments, we got laptops, we got apps, Google Apps, everything right now. So we need to speed up the process of identification, because species are getting lost every 3 seconds. So I will tell something about molecular markers and DNA barcoding. That as you all know that the building blocks of life on Earth, which is composed of 4 alphabets, which is also called as the Life's Dictionary, which is a string of just 650 letters composed of A, C, G, T, which is amino acid called amino acid, adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. These are the building block of life on Earth. So let us start with the building blocks of life on Earth, amino acids. So you might have heard about DNA barcode. What is it? It's a short gene sequence taken from standardized portions of the genome used to identify the species, or else called as DNA barcode. Normally for animal groups, it's a portion of cytochrome C oxidase, a particular region of mitochondrial region, or also called as COI, which is about 648 nucleotide base pairs. Just for instance, our human genome is about 3 billion base pairs in length. So we take a barcode region of particular cytochrome C oxidase to create a barcode for animal. So you can see here the mitochondrial genome graphical representation, and we usually amplify a portion of cytochrome oxidase subunit 1 to create a DNA barcode for animal group. Because this work for entire fragment, all stages of life, starting from larvae, egg, larvae, adult. So morphologically, you need the entire specimen to identify or designate a species. But when it comes to DNA barcoding or molecular taxonomy, even if you get a portion of tissue, hair follicle with hair follicle, or blood sample, saliva, whatever it may be, or portion of an insect leg, you can still identify the species based on genetic characters. So this applicable for animals all started in 2004 for barcoding animal life with portion of cytochrome C oxidase gene. This also applicable for plants, this barcode. So idea is to create DNA barcode database for entire species on this global earth. This applicable for India also, to create animal faunal database, genetic database, and floral genetic database. So let me quite simply say what is it. Actually, as I said, the life on earth is composed of 4 alphabets, 4 amino acids, which is adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. So if you take a portion of particular sequence, you can see here that this sequence is like AT, GC, TG, AC, CC, and so on. So the information is different for different species. So if the species are closely related, then the information is also similar. If the species are not closely related, then the information is also different. So this is a simple definition for sequence clarification, that this technique also being used in forensic analysis, criminal analysis from samples, where they correlate the sequence data with that of the criminal database with reference to criminal crime scenes, or they collect blood sample, saliva, or any hair follicle samples. Of course, you have to get the hair follicle, not the hair, because hair is keratinized. You need to get the hair follicle by which you can get the DNA to get the genetic sequence after amplification. So, so this also applicable for taxonomy research. I will show some 4 examples by which you can compare the sequence portion of sequence data of human, chimp, rat, and fish. So morphologically, in this case, because these are morphologically very much visible and different species, though they are related, but genetically these are very specific. You can see that between human and chimp, there is only 2 thymines are different, and with reference to chimp and rat, guanine, adenine, thymine, guanine, guanine. So likewise, genetically, this is very species specific. So that's why the genetic based species identification is very accurate. We can even identify the species from food, cooked materials, larvae, egg, or adult, or parts of any animal group. When I say you can get the DNA from cooked food material, it's all depending upon how you can get the DNA. If the DNA is really degraded, then it is difficult. Otherwise, you can get the DNA. If you can get undegraded DNA, then you can amplify the DNA and sequence. This is also applicable in terms of wildlife crimes very much, that you can even get the DNA and sequence and identify the species, especially with reference to wildlife crimes and all. Especially if the DNA or the raw material for the product, if it is from any endangered or scheduled listed animal group, like leather bags, shoes, or anything, still we can get the DNA and identify the animal group. So this is very important with reference to wildlife crimes and all. So what are the procedure by which we extract the DNA and purify the DNA and amplify the DNA to get the sequences for database submission and identification? There are three methods like magnetic bead, silica, and Q-Lex by which we can amplify the DNA. And there are three methods, three components by which we amplify the DNA, which is primers, reaction mixers, and thermal cyclers, used for the entire PCR amplification. So you can see a small graphical animated picture of what is happening within this DNA amplification. That you can see that the double helix DNA is getting separated into two single strand, and the thermal program is planned in such a way that the primers are getting attached into the required region of amplification, and finally with the help of thermostable enzyme called TUG polymerase, which is in blue color, we get the region of required DNA amplified into many millions of copies. Finally, we sequence them after cleaning the samples. So this is what happening in a PCR reaction. So after sequencing, there are quite few globally recognized gene banks. One is BOLD, or else called as barcode of life data systems, in which you got identification engines by which you can submit the DNA sequence simply by cut and paste your sequence data, and then you will get the species identified. So this works in such a way that the amplified sequence getting matched with the DNA database. Another one is called NCBI, or National Center for Biotechnology Information, which is based in US, in which also this BLAST program is there, by which you can submit your sequence data. Then it will give a result to the species identification. Just for instance, I just want to show one example that this is as part of my PhD program from Britain. Because I studied the genetic diversity of, you can see here, genetic diversity studies on captive bred caiman crocodile population from Brazil. This was one of my project as part of my PhD program from University of Birmingham, UK, which was submitted in 2000, almost 2005. I started this study in 2002. And I got more than 400 such sequence in the gene bank, with reference to not just crocodiles, also rattlesnakes from South America, and many other species also as part of my PhD program. So you get exception numbers for all these sequence. So I think I am the first, almost with reference to taxonomy research, I am the first one who submitted this many sequence. You can even search till today. that the sequence submitted is already there. And now many institutes and many departments within India, they started barcoding in various groups of animals. And so this is how it works. So so we need to this is the tree of life, in which 90% of life is yet to be described. So we need to speed up the entire process of getting the phylogeny of life on Earth. That is most important, because species are getting lost day by day. So we need to process the entire thing. And so, like I said, we got many mobile tools, including the GPS, equipments, mobiles, everything, starting from specimens, field data, images, lab notebooks, literature sets, checklist, and specimen images, everything, click of mouse. So the 21st century, we got a variety of modern tools to support taxonomical research, to supplement taxonomy and biodiversity research. So just want to show this picture here. So just for time break, I would like any of the participants to just answer me. What do you think of this specimen? Can you just roughly tell the common name of this particular picture shown in this slide? Anyone? Hello? 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 Dr. Akhilan sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Anybody just for curiosity, because I just want to hear it from the participant. Anybody? Roughly, you might have.
Is it related to symmetry?
No, just roughly tell what is the specimen, what is the diagram, roughly, because of course, it's an insect anyway.
Yeah.
Looks
Camera looks the diagram.
Yeah, you can anyone just one or two guesses. Just want to hear because I'm just keeping on speaking like a radio. I just want to hear something back from you, because we are not encouraging this two-way communication, because this will interfere the entire session.
Sure.
But just for a break, I'm just asking. Anyone?
Hello, sir. It looks like lice or mite.
Okay, can you just tell your name and college?
Sir, I am Supraja Narasimhan. I am a teacher trainee, Department of Biological Science from Lady Wellington College, Chennai, sir.
Okay. Rightly said. Actually, since you are in teaching field, rightly, like Madam said, this is a human lice. And some people, they usually tell it's a cockroach. So just for fun, Madam, you can mute your phone right now, microphone. And so to tell, this is very easy, but in order to identify this species taxonomically, you need to identify this many characters, morphological characters. Just reverting once again, this many characters morphologically. So it will take, you need to sit with this specimen for almost, at least for 7 to 10 days to identify this particular species or specimen. So taxonomy is time consuming. So you need a lot of patience to do the work. But once you get into this field, it's almost like heaven to sit with the specimen and keep on doing. And again, with molecular taxonomy, this is again you can get the DNA and do the research. But morphologically, when it comes to smaller groups like microbial groups, etc., you definitely need molecular support to define a taxa up to species level. So we need to collect all the information with this 21st century of taxonomic research with taxonomic search engine. While saying this again, many students, they only know about only one search engine, which is Google. They never heard about taxonomic search engine. Again, they search in Google to find something, whether it is species identity or whatever it may be. And for students, again, just a small suggestion from my side that you have to be authentic with your dissertation work for whether it is BSc, MSc or MPhil, PhD levels, because now the UGC implemented a scheme to check your submission, whether it is cut and pasted from Google or not. So UGC got the implemented all the technologies to catch and hold the degree for any such person who copied others' work. And with this slide, all the presentation, whatever information I just projected, I have given the source information in the notes. So this is again, whatever is not my creation, it's all credited. So that is most important. You cannot even just cut and paste things from elsewhere. That will end up in many problems later. So we need to collate many information altogether. And nowadays, interactive keys are there for species identification with reference to web of identifications are there for many groups, many species, because a picture tells 1,000 stories than a textbook, than a words. Because if you got high resolution images and specimen images, you can identify the specimens very quickly and easily by collaborating with the world over, with all the experts available world over. So the idea is to speed up the process of identification world over, because every species are getting lost every 3 seconds, as I said, especially with reference to smaller animal groups, microbials and insects. So 90% is yet to be described, and India is very rich in types of biodiversity research. So we need to speed up the entire process. So what you see here is small equipment which is already tested in Australia, Canada, America and Britain, which is called as a taxonomic GPS. Of course, all of you might have used GPS to record the longitude, latitude during your field trips. But this particular one is barcoder. This equipment itself is a barcoder or a taxonomic barcoder GPS, which got linkage to the reference database, which is again satellite based. So as far as India is concerned, in order to develop complete floral or faunal genetic database, which will take at least another 100 or so years, more than years, then only we will be able to use this kind of equipments in the field. Again, this will be a license, not freely available for all the researchers, and the cost per sample is also applicable. And ultimately, what we get, we will get DNA information, phylogenies, specimen information, literature information, images, all together within a click of mouse. So this is called as an encyclopedia of life. Ultimately, a web page for every species, including all plants and animals. A web page for all the species on Earth. Because we only humans, like me, like you, We only care about our own Facebook page. We never think about plants and animals having a web page so that we can share information about that particular species. So the aim of this particular web page for every species is that to share information about each and every information about particular species globally with multi-institutional collaboration. And you will get funding opportunities also, multiple audience globally, and it's called as a mega science mashup. That's what we are looking towards, to use all the modern tools to get into the world of Encyclopedia of Life, or EOL. So we need contribution from globally, especially with reference to India, to make entries into this EOL, to catalog the life on Earth, and to contribute towards this Encyclopedia of Life on Earth. There are many global species database in which also you can contribute as a researcher, as a student, because we need many students to come to the field of taxonomy and species identification, because species are getting lost. And we got another 90% yet to be described, almost 28.2 million globally. And so we need to identify any animal, any plant, any fungus, any organism on the spot, instantly, anywhere on our planet. This is the aim, to use such technologies. Also, just said that it's a handheld taxonomic GPS called DNA barcoder, which is again, this particular instrument was tested in Canada, where which one of the barcode of life bold database is based in Canada, Ontario, Institute of Ontario. So they already tested for many groups. So India also, again, India is very rich, so we need to speed up everything to document our biodiversity richness. So again, today, I never said something about World Environment Day today. And the theme is nature for time for nature. This is from my last year's slide. So this year's theme is time for nature. Of course, we got 7 billion dreams and only one planet. So we need to consume with care. We need to protect the planet Earth. And this already is said by our most lovable personality, Abdul Kalam sir, that by 2050, if the current consumption goes on like this, the estimated population of humans will reach 9.6 million, and we need another 3 planets to sustain our living in this planet Earth. So this is the most important, that especially we are in the midst of 6th mass extinction. This can happen for human also, because Corona is here, and many animals already extinct from this world. And we are just trying to get into Mars, another planet, because we have done everything for planet Earth. Earth is almost finished. So now we are trying to, humans are trying to relocate to Mars, so that we can start our colonial life in Mars. So as I said in the starting, we need to collect all the information to survive as a species on this planet Earth, because we are also species like all the plants and animals. Otherwise, we will end up in museums, like all these specimens depicted, to see, because we usually take all the students to the museums to say that this specimen which lived in thousands years earlier, Like that, many species will get extinct from this planet Earth, and we'll have to visit museums to see the dead specimens, either in formalin or in dry condition, not as in life in natural world. So just show some more slides about all the researchers, especially the students, UG, PG students, those who are doing research in botany or zoology studies or environmental studies. They need to know about something about National Biodiversity Authority, NBA, and the Biodiversity Act and rules for any research related activities. Just few slides. And the few things about IUCN, CITES, and Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So this all of you can download from the internet, and just go through the information about introduction to the IUCN and listing process, which is most important for any students. Go through the website. Each and every institutes within India, especially within India, starting from Central Zoo Authority, National Tiger Conservation Authority, NBA, National Biodiversity Control Bureau, Wildlife Institute, ICFRI, FSI, and BSI, SADSI, and so on. All the institutes, Pioneer Institute, which is doing very good research in terms of biodiversity research within India, especially within India. And so the small invisible microbial already taught a lesson for human beings. That it is almost, like I said, almost engulfed the life of many, more than almost 4 lakhs human beings on this global Earth. And always remember that there is only one solution for COVID-19 and climate change, which is wearing masks. I got my mask there. And always remember that there is no emergency backup planet like Earth. Because we always, humans, got, if plan A fails, we got plan B. So there is no plan B for as far as planet Earth is concerned, and there is no planet backup Earth. So we need to consume and conserve the planet Earth very carefully, the Mother Earth very carefully. And as you can see here, that this can be also timed as COVID-19, can be clearly called as revenge by pangolin or bat, because these are also animals. They can also revenge to other species like humans. And just because of this coronavirus, if you see the impact of coronavirus pandemic within this environment, with reference to energy, carbon emissions, waste management, wildlife and habitat things, you can see that it has shown within the last, say about last 5 months, 4 or 5 months, this small virus has shown its presence in terms of nature survival. And you have seen many media reports and everything, how the pollutions and emissions, waste management, everything reduced. And we humans have to think very seriously about our practice of dealing with nature Earth, Mother Earth. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble. Can you imagine a situation that forest trees disappeared? Simple. Soil eroded, rain reduced, which already happens in, I think, majority of participants are from Tamil Nadu, Chennai. I was living in Chennai just 3 years earlier. I was there since 96. And my house is in Pallikarnai. Again, it's a wetland, completely modified. Sorry for that. The thing is that now everybody is paying. I heard that everybody is paying almost 7,000 for buying water every month, at least 6 to 7,000 rupees per month for buying water. So can you imagine a situation where forest trees disappeared, soil eroded, rain reduced, agriculture reduced, building increased? Just think about the horizontal and vertical expansion of buildings, cement structures, and no water, no food, no fuel, no electricity at all. And what will happen? Can we afford another world war just to get water, food, and probably oxygen? The coronavirus already human beings, and I'm not talking something in detail about the war between America or China, which may happen or may not, in terms of various things, various things which is available in social media and media news also. So we are just skipping through many difficult situations as a species, Homo sapiens, as a species. So now I think you can ask any questions, so that we will wind up within another 10 minutes before lunch.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Very, very nice presentation. It's a very more than 1 hour you shared your views. So it's very nice. I hope all the participants, while you are presenting, I've seen the chat box. Many of them are putting messages, highly informative. Okay. You are again and again mentioning the students, but nowadays the situation is the faculties are not able to identify the species. Taxonomy is very, very rare chosen field of research or field of studies in nowadays among the students. This presentation will definitely boost the students and as well as faculty members. So we, the department, is again planning to conduct FDP on exclusively taxonomy. We will contact you in near future. Thank you. Now it's participants, please put your questions on the chat box. A resource person will see the chat box and he will clarify. Before going to the participants, I have my own questions, sir.
Please.
Is there any specific repository regarding DNA barcoding about our endemic species in our country?
Sir, with reference to DNA barcode, actually there was a proposal from the Central Ministry, MOEFCC, to create the ministry's Government of India's own DNA barcode gene bank database. But still it is under process. But as far as now, I think all the researchers, they are depositing their DNA barcodes in two globally recognized database, which is one is BOLT, or Barcode of Life Data Systems, and another one is NCBI, which is based in America, which is National Center for Biotechnology Information. These are this is also many institutes within India also, they also submit their sequence. Even ICMR, they submit their sequence in these two database. But soon I think Government of India and the ministry will come up with particular portal for submitting endemic species database.
Thank you, Ji. Now it's turn for participants.
Doctor, in chat box there's a question from Balasubramanian Panchaguntu. Today, avoid the overlap of the work. How can we know who is working in a particular species or genus?
Yes, sir. This is actually a very important question with reference to taxonomical research. That's why we need to collect, and of course, there are many social community social media database or groups, especially with reference to any group of working. So as far as India, in other countries like especially Britain, America, and Canada, Australia, they got species-based portals for group-based portals for each and every group, like Fishbase. I'm just giving an example about Fishbase, and unfortunately or fortunately, unfortunately, I put forward to start a Indian Fishbase database. It was called Indian Fishbase in 2008, almost 12 years gone. And I asked some of the leading taxonomists from India to be parting. That was registered in 2008, called IndianFishbase.com, especially to promote the fish diversity of Indian fishes. But that was registered, and the entire portal was designed and everything was managed by me for at least 1 year. And all of a sudden, it was not materialized. So likewise, we need to have separate species portals, group ways for each and everything, like butterfly or birds or anything. Like bird life is there, Indian birds are there, portals are there, like so that you will be able to interact with each and every researchers within that group. But Facebook groups are there very much, sir, like you said. I hope it is. So we are looking forward to create such groups. That's why this particular session is also for that. Even students, they are very familiar with social media, and they can do wonderful things to create such portals. Thank you.
Doctor, another question. DNA barcoding is essential tool for identify the taxonomy of species. Is it essential?
Actually, there is no so-called DNA taxonomy. There is no called term like DNA taxonomy. Taxonomy is traditional. Still, we are depending upon lineages. So, but this is a tool by which you can support the taxonomical, morphological, or the traditional taxonomical research by using all the modern techniques such as DNA barcoding or molecular taxonomy. So there is no independent molecular taxonomy, but when it comes to very minute animal groups, especially with reference to insects, microbials, this very much applicable, because again to cryptic species, whenever there is a species identification difficulty, then you can, and of course, in order to see all over phylogeny, etc., you need to depend upon molecular information. But for clarity and clarification, for species identification, this is needed. But there is no so-called DNA taxonomy. Is that clear? Back to you, sir. Agilan sir.
Yeah. Participants can ask questions. You can unmute your mic and they can ask questions. Can you tell me what is the different COVID-19 in their nucleotide level? For example, in RNA level, ATGC, is there any sequence change due to this COVID-19?
Actually, I'm sorry, because we are not at all into medical type of research. Yes. But the technology like RT-PCR, they use to test the COVID-19 patient. The technology is same for species identification also. We are into any kind of medical research with reference to COVID-19. But I'm sure that there is another, like I said, there are many more viruses to come. So this is just a starting. So again, this is called as novel coronavirus. So we need to identify them, name them, then this will happen. I think somebody from ICMR can definitely answer your question. I'm unable to tell something about this question. Sorry. Thank you.
Another participant is asking, is there any new species are added in the field of taxonomy in recent days?
Yeah, there are quite many additions every year, and the ministry itself through BSA and ZSA, they published the new species compiled volumes, which is also released from the ministry, which is also available from our departmental website, also ministry website. There are many, even you can, I have seen even a few days back also in newspapers. This happens everywhere, even fishes also, like insects, everything. This happens every time.
Okay, one more. Sir, whether you concentrated on any particular DP DNA barcoding?
Any particular?
DP. She may asking about the methodology.
Methodology, see, for each and every, if suppose if you want to work on insects, the methodology protocol differs a little bit.
Sir, particular species, sir. Particular species.
Yeah, madam, actually what I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you name the species which you want to do?
Ask whether any you concentrate on fishes or insects or anything like that. You all other varieties, which especially fishes or any particular species you concentrated, or any particular genus.
But actually, for starting from Protozoa to Mammalia, like you said, you wanted to work on insects or fishes or something. This amplification process is called the PCR amplification. The primers, etc., will differ a little bit, and the thermal programs. So, so this little bit, the program and the primers, the reagents and primers will differ little bit. So if you want for a particular group, I can send you information. My email, I'm going to share my email also.
Okay, sir. But you are concentrated on any particular genus, sir? Like you are concentrated only on fishes, or which is your specialization?
My PhD program was on reptiles.
Okay.
It was on crocodiles and some population studies on crocodiles and vipers from South America. Here, I have just started on protozoans. I'm doing something about. So life is a complete learning process. So I'll do something. But other than that, I'm doing for almost all animal groups.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, how climate change is going to have a very deleterious effects on these biodiversity species, sir? Like you told, like very infectious organisms may emerge in future. You're able to hear me, sir?
Yes. Actually, see, that's why I just shown you a few slides that there is no water. There is we are using ACs and everything. This is a common information that everybody knows that this is going to affect very badly. So we need to control each and everything. So yet we want to survive as a species. So this is I don't want to explain much in detail about this, but of course, unless you are not living around nature, unless you are not connected with nature, then definitely problems will be there. And nature, Mother Earth got the power to control each and everything. Something will happen.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I request Anushya ma'am, can you unmute your mic and please?
Sir, actually, hello.
Yeah.
Just a few more slides before closing down. Just 2-3 slides. I will just quickly go through again.
Okay, sure.
Few more slides.
Okay.
Can you see my slides again now?
Yes,
No,
yes.
no. I won't take much time, just few more slides.
அவர் அடிக்கிறது இங்க கேக்கு.
So I think it is visible now. Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
So of course, coming down very lightly that someone asked, just the last participant asked, what will happen with regards to climate change? So which one you choose?
Feedback from 3 போடுங்க.
Of course, there is no need for answer. We all choose this picture because we want to save our planet Earth, and we don't want something like this. Don't we?
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
For that, we need to conserve the planet Earth. For that, we need to, each and every person, each and every human being need to do something. Like we need, otherwise we need another 3 planets to survive, to sustain our. We need to take a pledge starting from the school level to recognize the nature. Because of nature, leaves, air, we breathe, the food we eat, we drink, and much more. We need to raise our voice to protect the planet. We'll continue to take more from nature than nature can give. We are actually misusing the nature. So we are going to turn the tide by supporting the nature to pledge to protect the planet that provides. So spread the message to your friends, family, neighbors to understand, make them understand and appreciate nature's value, so that we all can together protect the planet that provides, so that we can also sustain or survive in this planet Earth. And you all need to reconnect with the nature to restore ourselves. So I always, few of you might have seen my Facebook page, always pictures about this small car, which propagate a message about nature conservation. So join the 7 million dreams to protect the planet that provides. Keep on making awareness about nature conservation globally, within India especially, and thanks to especially Dr. Maniyar Akhilan and Job Gobinath sir also may be there, and the entire organizers and for this national seminar, and all the best for all of you, and try to do something towards nature conservation and protect the planet that provides. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Now I request Dr. Job Gobinath, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, to share vote of thanks.
Warm greetings to all. On behalf of organizing committee, I am pleased to thank you all for participating in national webinar. All praise and glory to God Almighty. I sincerely thank and appreciate Dr. Satish, scientist ZSI, Government of India, for his wonderful presentation. Indeed, he has sown the seeds of thoughts on biodiversity and its importance in human existence. I extended my gratitude to management and the accuracy of Buddhist College for their support and service, especially Dr. Kishore and Jaykumar, who helped me to finish this in a very beautiful manner. And a special thanks to our participants and for your thoughtful questions. Today we had 150 members joined in Gmeet and 96 members joined in YouTube. Programs are very nice and thoughtful. Questions are very informative. That will help us in a great manner. Thanks for this wonderful seminar to complete successfully. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.